Andrew has requested me on Patreon to review the Pixar animated movie Finding Nemo. This has now reached the point where it's considered an animated classic, one of those films that seems destined to be passed down to each new generation, and for good reason, as it's a wonderful movie. I actually remember being really hyped to see this back in 2003. I'm not sure why, maybe just because I loved Pixar, but everything about this seemed incredibly appealing to me. When I got the Monsters, Inc. DVD, the thing I was even most excited about was watching the teaser trailer. Thankfully, the movie more than lived up to my expectations, and several years later, it remains one of my favorite movies from the studio. Part of the charm of Finding Nemo is the way Andrew Stanton and his team tell the story and develop the characters. They feel nicely fleshed out not long after they're introduced, and I do find one of the strengths of just about any Pixar film is how they're really good at establishing the world and the characters in the first 10 or so minutes. We understand who they are and how their society functions rather quickly, and then the plot kicks into high gear and we're off to the races. In the case of Finding Nemo, there needs to be an understanding for why Marlin is so overprotective and cautious, and witnessing what happens to him in the opening scene, you completely get why he's this way. Stanton initially had Marlin's backstory revealed in flashbacks spaced throughout the movie, but I think it was a good idea that was discarded. He did later revisit that concept in Finding Dory, and it was a much better fit there. Meanwhile, you also understand why Nemo feels stifled by his father and his frustrations with that. One of the other key characters in the movie is Dory. She's the comic relief, but they also did not go overboard with depicting her short-term memory loss as a joke. We see how that affects Dory, but she's also very smart, and Marlin needed her extroverted personality in order to get through the ocean and get the help he's often afraid to ask for. I also like how immediately willing she is to help Marlin find his son, recognizing the state he's in. Ellen DeGeneres did an excellent job of voicing Dory, handling both the comedic scenes and the moments where she's sad with ease, and she's paired up well with Albert Brooks as Marlin. Even though the two actors did not record together, as is often the norm in animated features, it never feels that way. Stanton wanted to highlight the dangers of the ocean, which makes Marlin's journey even more extraordinary. Finding Nemo could have wound up with a fairly episodic structure, as Marlin and Dory come across new obstacles, but it avoids that. Each creature they encounter is necessary for Marlin's development, and each serves an important function in the story, whether dangerous or humorous. The vegetarian sharks trying to avoid eating fish are hilarious, along with the school fish who form different shapes together, and a flock of hungry seagulls. Meanwhile, one of the standout scenes in the film comes when Marlin and Dory come across an anglerfish. Anglerfish are freaky looking, and they leaned into that with this scene, including the clever build-up when they see its light and then come face to face with it. The tankfish Nemo befriends are nicely done too, with each given identifiable personalities, and I like how they try to help him. There are a number of heart-tugging scenes in Finding Nemo, and a lot of people have that one that hits them the hardest. Certainly the scene where Marlin finds out Nemo is the only egg left after a terrifying barracuda attack is up there. But one that always gets to me is when Nigel the pelican tells Nemo the stories being told of Marlin's exploits. He has always thought of his father as a coward, and thinks he's still back of the reef, and in this moment that all changes, as he realizes how far he's willing to go just to rescue him. Related to that, I also love the montage of all the animals learning and telling the others about what Marlin has been doing in basically the animal kingdom version of social media. It's wonderful how much the other fish and crabs and birds are rooting for Nemo and Marlin to be reunited. As expected from a Pixar movie, the animation in Finding Nemo is fantastic. Even though this was released in 2003 and computer animation has advanced an incredible amount since then, this still looks like a film that could have been made today. The highlights also come from the underwater world, which is appropriately colorful and majestic. Something I always found interesting since learning this from the DVD bonus features is Andrew Stanton was careful about not making the water look too realistic. The Pixar animators and technical team did succeed in doing that on Finding Nemo, but Stanton asked for that to be scaled back a tad, so the audience did not forget they're watching an animated film. Of course, since then, with movies like The Good Dinosaur and Cars 3 especially, Pixar has given their films incredibly realistic backgrounds. If it were not for the talking cars and animals and other computer-generated details, you would think they used real locations. I think Thomas Newman composed one of his best scores for Finding Nemo, with so many beautiful pieces, especially the main theme, when Nemo first sees the rest of the reef of his class, and during the montage I mentioned earlier. The more dramatic pieces also have the needed impact. The music truly is pivotal to sweeping the audience into the underwater world of the movie. The choice to have a cover, Beyond the Sea, played during the end credits was also a fitting touch. Overall, Finding Nemo remains a brilliant piece of entertainment and an example of what makes Andrew Stanton such a fantastic director. He seems to have a particular fondness for stories about characters who go to great lengths and take an incredible journey to achieve the seemingly impossible, as also shown in WALL-E and John Carter, and I'm always excited for whatever movie he ends up directing. In fact, he has a new science fiction movie reportedly set for this year, titled In the Blink of an Eye, and I'm definitely curious to see how that turns out. I imagine almost anyone who watches this has seen Finding Nemo, so let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Andrew.